What's going on, guys? Nick Lesagore here. Waiting on Kurt.
Wait, not me. You want me to introduce myself?
Yeah.
Hey, Kurt Green here, Fermentation Adventures.
Exit 12 Homebrew in the house. I didn't tell him ahead of time that I was doing that, but I did it anyway. And we are here with a fun one. I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm pumped. This is going to be really fun. Kurt is coming over my house next week, and I'm going to be hosting him, much like I do a lot of the Brewtubers in the Brewtubers Online Brewers Club, www.brewtubers.com. And a part of doing that means we're going to be doing a collaboration beer. And a collaboration beer means that Kurt and I are going to brew a beer together on my system. We're going to go 10 gallons on the people. And what we're going to do is I'll ferment it, I'll keg it, and then I'll end up dropping it off to him. So I'm really pumped to host Kurt. It's going to be a really fun time. And so what we'll do now is in this video, we're going to actually go through our recipe creation process. What Kurt and I are going to brew is a British golden ale. It was Kurt's idea. 12A on the BJCP certification program. A hop forward average strength to moderately strong pale bitter. Drinkability and a refreshing quality are critical components of the style. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but to give you guys an idea, light to medium body, medium to medium high on the bitterness. Hop flavor is moderate to moderately high. Caramel flavors are typically absent. Interesting to know. Medium to dry finish. And for Kurt and I discussed it, and we're going to try to stay away a little bit, Kurt, from overdosing this beer with American hops. Why is that?
Yeah, because doing a bit of the research and looking at some of the recipes out there, I guess originally it was kind of the British kind of response to like American pale ales or hoppy pale ales. And we're seeing a lot of some British samples are featuring American hops pretty heavily. Some of the American versions of the British Golden Ale, they're not repeating the same idea. They're just going with, pretty much all British ingredients to try to replicate that, because otherwise you're just brewing another American Pale Ale or a Hoppy Blonde or something like that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so to that point, what I think we're going to do is we're going to create a recipe here, and we're going to try, as Kurt kind of mentioned, for our reasons, is to stay away a little bit from the concept of overloading this with American hops. With that said, there are beers out there that are great examples of the style. None that I've had, but that I've read of and that other brew tubers in the club have had or have brewed, that are great examples of the style that do utilize heavy doses of American hops. I think we want to kind of stay away from that, because then you're getting into blonde ale territory and things like that. I brew a blonde ale that I really enjoy, and so I would like to do something that's a little bit different. I'm also not completely opposed to the idea of kissing this with some sort of caramel malt, although we don't have to, obviously, and I know that the style guidelines say you don't want a lot of caramel. But something that's maybe a little bit different than what I brew on my blonde ale would be okay. So what we're kind of looking for, if we go on to Brewfather here, is something that's 3.8 to 5%. Should be very easy in my Brewzilla. Also, we want to do something on the IBU range that's relatively low, 20 to 45 IBUs. So it'll be interesting to see how we utilize that. So Kurt, you mentioned, one of the best things to do is probably to start with our grist, right? Let's start with our grain bill. Where do we want to kind of go? I know we discussed the idea of utilizing all British ingredients. Is that something that we kind of want to continue with, or?
Yeah, to a point. I think we'd want to feature either, the big heavy hitters, probably the pale ale malts like the Maris Otter or maybe a Golden Promise. I do have a little bit of Maris Otter on hand if we wanted to use that. The Maris Otter floor malted 19. We can use that, or if we want to go a different direction, we can certainly do that as well. But I think at least a good portion of the grist should be, one of those British malts.
3.9. We can adjust that as we go, but I think that's a good start, is that floor malted Maris Otter that you can bring to us.
Now, I have seen some of the recipes typically have a little bit of wheat to keep it light, and probably add some head breed tension and give it some fluffy foam.
So we're going to go on. We did not plan this at all. We're going to go on to the website for Beer and Wine Hobby, the official homebrew store of the Brewtubers Online Brewers Club. And we're going to go on here and we'll take a look. They actually offer a discount if you're in the club. If you're a paying member of the club, they offer you a discount where you get 10% off of all your orders.
Yeah, they're giving the recipe.
Wireman. Not British, but
yeah, it's German Continental.
Blueberry wheat, interesting. Oh, it's an all grain kit. So they have Beer and Wine Hobby has a robust selection of kits. If you're the kit brewer, they got a lot of that.
Since this is secondary malt, we can throw in some Wireman or Breeze, I would say, because I don't know if that's just one of the things I've typically do. I've started using wheat in place of like Cara pills or Cara foam.
You think it adds better head retention?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, not a huge amount, less than 10%.
Let's go with the Wireman pale wheat. I think that's. Okay. You see, we can adjust as we go. We're already at 4.2%.
Mm-hmm.
Hit that with 13 pounds. Okay. Yeah, and what else? Maybe we'll do one or two other malts. What do you think?
Yeah. Another light base malt, maybe, or what are you thinking?
Are we totally against throwing a little Pilsner malt in here?
No, not at all.
That's mainly because I want to try it, but I don't want to shoehorn it into this recipe.
Oh, the Hana? Yeah, let's go for that. That's a British.
I don't know. It says it's a heritage barley variety from the valley in Czech Moravia.
Yeah, I believe they're growing it in the UK though. Okay. Yeah, because this is I use this all the time in my Leichbier. So it's a British. I think it's grown in England, but it is a of Czech origin malt, and I use it in my German beer. But
and I do love it in that
yeah,
that beer that you make. So
yeah, let's kick some of that in there.
And I'm a fan. I'd be open to kind of kissing this with maybe one more other malt that gives it more of a maybe hit that kind of sweet backbone almost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to the Golden Naked Oats. My first thought was the amber malt.
We can that was the other one I was thinking too. We can
only because the Lovabond's probably a bit. It's probably a bit darker. You can use a little bit less of it. You probably get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've used the Golden Naked Oats before. I almost think when you crush it, you almost need to, because it is. It is quite small. The kernels are. So I wonder how much I actually get from it in the times I have used it.
The other thing is, I don't know how much body we want to add to this beer.
Yeah, there's already going to be a lot with.
Yeah, perfect for nut brown ales and stouts.
Yeah.
And I've used the Simpsons Golden. I've actually used Golden Naked Oats for New England before.
Yeah, same. Same here.
I think the amber malt could be nice at, we can take a look at maybe a half pound. It doesn't need to be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, funny you should say that. I do have some of that on hand as well.
You have amber malt? Okay.
I do have, what is this? Simpsons amber malt. Yes, I do. that I bought from Beer and Wine Hobby a little while ago, last fall.
Beer and Wine Hobby, an official sponsor of the Brewtubers Online Brewers Club.
So I can definitely bring some of that along.
Yeah, and I think 4.5%, maybe we could bump it up a little bit more. Get it to that 4.7. Yeah, there we go. I'm open to that. I like that. That's a perfect summer sipper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that way, at 80%, if we end up at 84, we're really brewing a 4.95% beer. I'll bump this up a little bit. Because I do want to get us in that 4.7 if I can.
Yeah, there you go. Or if we get up to 5.2, we're good as well. It's not a competition beer, right? Then again, if you brew it and it's 5.2, nobody would know.
That's kind of the thing. Yeah.
That's my thing, right? It's like if you're in a competition and they ask for the parameters, always put in the parameters so it matches the style. You're not going to know.
Right. You don't want them to. That's the thing. That's the thing. To your point is, if you put in 5.2, they're going to ding it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So hops. This is the moneymaker for a lot of beers, not necessarily for this one.
Mm-hmm. What do they got? What does Beer and Wine have?
Yeah. So for this beer, I'm honestly, I would rather go to Yakima Valley just because.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Let's get some fresh stuff. You know what I mean? It's not to say Beer and Wine Hobby doesn't have fresh hops. They are an official club sponsor. I do love Beer and Wine Hobby. But most every homebrew store, when you're getting hops, they give you the hops and you can't. I want to be able to trace the year to my hops. And most all homebrew stores are not going to be able to give you that information. So, and also, let's be honest, Kurt, it opens us up to be able to use a bunch of different hops.
Yep.
Beer and Wine Hobby is a great selection, but Yakima Valley hops may have a better one.
The citrus. Yeah, I've seen some things I was reading had Pilgrim was one of the recommended hops, but then I'm looking at the flavor key for that. It's like menthol, herbal, and citrus.
Yikes.
So aroma
menthol
spicy.
doesn't sound great.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great. I mean, I was thinking East Kent Goldings, the classic. I was thinking of staying away from Fuggle, actually, but
I agree. But also East Kent Goldings, 2023 crop year.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking for 24 if we could.
Yeah, I see.
Progress could be fun just because. Oh, 2021. Never mind. That could have been fun based on. So we can talk about that off video. But
what's this Mystic hop? That has the right colors in the diagram there.
2024 Mystic.
Yeah, passion fruit, black currant, and citrus.
I mean, we could get the same effect almost from an American fruity hop. I was going to say Citra, and then I was like, well, that's really orange for it. And I was going to say Mosaic, and then I thought blueberry, and that's not necessarily either one of those. But it can give off the same character, right? I mean, it can give off the same kind of.
In the beer.
You know what I don't hate? I don't hate the idea of coming in with Challenger and the boy for bittering. And Mystic for the aroma.
Okay.
If the goal is to go with all UK hops, I don't hate it.
Yeah. I mean, that's stated goal. I mean, as the primary, if we want to throw.
Instead of Challenger, we could go with Phoenix hops for a 60-minute edition, higher alpha.
Okay.
And you get that spice, woody, caramel, cream aromas, but we're going to be adding it early in the boil.
Yeah.
I'd probably rather Phoenix than Challenger, honestly, because you get that higher alpha. You can use less of it.
Yep. Makes sense. You probably get away with... They have 2 ounces. Yeah, you can get 2 ounces from them.
Mostly used in classic English ales, like a golden. So we could go Phoenix. If you're open to it, you mentioned Mystic, and then you mentioned maybe one more, like an American hop to aid in that aroma you're kind of going for.
Yeah. which is what did we state as our kind of aroma for this? Honestly, with the hoppy ones, I'm usually a lot more of when I'm brewing a hoppy beer, it's more of just let's mix and match, so to speak. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Usually, don't really have a end goal in mind. Eldorado.
Me too. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't necessarily have one in mind either. They have this Calypso hop, sweet fruit and green fruit. Fruit forward aroma and a good amount of alpha.
Yeah.
Apple, pear, stone fruit, and soft tropical fruit.
Yeah,
That's
very good.
See, I don't hate that because that's different. That's not pineapple. It's
Yeah.
not peach. It's not your stone fruits necessarily.
It's a good compliment.
It does say stone fruit on it, but apple, pear, and soft tropical fruit, I don't hate it. Melon at a small amount, I don't hate it.
Yeah. I like that the Calypso sounded like it had a good nice contrast.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I like how it's different than your normal kind of New England hop, you know?
Yep. Yep, exactly.
All right, so we have our 3 hops. We got Phoenix, Mystic, and Calypso, which is definitely interesting. I'm excited to brew with them. I've never brewed with either one of these 3 hops. Have you?
No.
So
Exactly.
I threw Phoenix at 60 at an ounce. And then I just threw an ounce of Mystic at 15, but I'm open to kind of, I'm open to changing all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. What do we want to plan on doing for late editions? Do we want to do light whirlpool? Were we thinking of dry hopping some? I mean, I know from the examples I've seen, it's kind of, no whirlpool, no dry hop, or both. Those were all it's all fair game. I mean, obviously, you probably don't want to go too crazy with that, but
so I was just gonna say that, I have extensive experience in whirlpooling and dry hopping, obviously, because all the work I did with the New England IPAs. From my perspective, if you're gonna do either for a beer style like this, you got to go real light, right?
Yeah.
You can't go heavy-handed. So, I do have a little bit of a hesitation to do it at all. But with that said, I'm open to, if you think, I'm open to whirlpool more than dry hop, and I'm open to like a lighter whirlpool edition.
I mean, that's what I was going to suggest. Bypass the dry hop. Again, I threw it out there asking if we wanted to do it. My inclination was to not dry hop it and just go with the whirlpool. My New Zealand Pilsner, which I love, I do. No, there's no dry hop in that, and I think it just helps the overall flavor stability, to be honest with you. And it's not a crazy whirlpool as well, but I think that's probably a good strategy to take here. Probably have another. We got a 15. Do something between 5 and 0 minutes, and then do a light whirlpool as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if it were, I would suggest personally kind of separating them out. And what I mean by that is hot side and then cold side. Like not cold side per se, but hot side and then whirlpool. I'd be interested to kind of take another Mystic hit in that 5-minute range.
Okay.
Hitting it with Mystic and then whirlpooling with a small dose of the Calypso.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
And for those watching, we will be adjusting, based on what the alpha acid is when it comes in. We'll adjust, to meet our alpha content. So whirlpool temp. What are we thinking for the whirlpool temp?
Below 180.
Yeah, I agree.
175 is my.
I was gonna say 170 is my sweet spot. So
yeah,
we can go 170, 175.
No, 170 should be fine if you want to do that. Yeah, I just don't want to bring in any bitterness.
Yeah, I agree.
Or very, very little.
So we're kind of flipping them, right? Mystic and Calypso and the boil, and then the whirlpool. So Phoenix, Mystic, and Calypso, all UK hops. Okay. And then for the yeast, what were you thinking for the yeast?
Did you want to go liquid or you want to go dry?
Dry, probably.
Dry.
Because I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably pitch 3 packs
Mm-hmm.
just to be safe.
Okay. So, there's the Verdant, whatever you call it. That's that was one thought I had, which is, you know what, a variant on the London Ale 3. Or what, there's Windsor, Lallemand Windsor, or what, SO4. And then White Labs has London Fog and Dry, which is, again, I think is just London Ale 3.
So, but those are all New England yeasts. Is there something that we want that's like maybe lower on the haze? Or is a golden ale? My thinking was a golden ale supposed to be kind of more on the clear side. I could be wrong about that.
Good to brilliant clarity. I guess what are we looking for? Do we want to try to push some of the, British fruity esters, or do we want, have it a little lower attenuating, which probably Windsor.
Highly flocculent and relatively full attenuation properties. It does produce concentrations of fruity and estery aromas.
Mm-hmm.
Neutral for all flavor, malt, and hops. From my perspective, I'd probably, if I had to choose, probably want more of the bitterness and the maltiness, and then that, like, I don't want like a super, super fruity beer,
Okay. All right.
I mean, what do you think?
No, for malty. Yeah, I mean, it's, that's the thing, right? I think if we did do Nottingham, it's probably going to really attenuate down. So I don't know if we're looking at the ABV calculations, I don't know what it's being based on right now for as attenuation.
You're gonna get fruit on the hop. I mean, it's unavoidable because of the hops we're using. You're gonna get fruit. I'm not saying I don't want fruit. I just don't want it to be.
Yeah. Well, it's just I know that Windsor is one of those yeast strains that doesn't ferment out the maltyl trios, so it's going to be, the comment there, relatively high gravity density. So if we're looking for a little bit more of a, malty backbone, this is the one that's probably going to do that in the dry, at least.
I'm good with that, but
okay.
What are your thoughts?
I'm good with it too. Yeah, let's go. We probably just, when we add it in, just want to double check that it's not going to throw things way out of whack on our ABV, which I don't think it will. But FG is still 110.
Didn't change it. And then we can try to do this relatively quick. We won't mess around to the mash and the fermentation profile. We can ignore this. These are just what I have popped up whenever I have very robust, mash profile, as you can see. I like to time things out, but so right now our pH is pretty high. We're at 5.6.
Yeah, we want to get that down. Yeah, so we can. I mean, again, typically when I'm looking at the water, it's really, I want to make sure my calcium is over 50 because that's going to promote, clarity, right? So 70 is fine. Anywhere around there, and then I just really try to focus in on the sulfate to chlorate ratio, depending on where we want to go with it, right? So if we want to make it dry, we can leave it in that range, or if we want to make it more balanced, we can make them equal, or push the chloride if we want to get more of the malt in there.
I mean, based on the way the hops are, I'm okay with pushing the chloride a little bit.
Okay.
And then we want to kiss it with some Epsom salt, just to match the blonde, just to match the style, or we can leave it out.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, it's already, you got a little bit in there, but
yeah, I mean, that's typically, my additions are typically like that. You're either more gypsum or calcium chloride, one or the other. There's usually always a little bit of a Epsom salt in there for some of the magnesium. Yeah, I think 5.5 is a little high for the target mash pH. So you probably.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
3, 5.4. That's reasonable.
Yep. Oh, okay. It's already down to 6 with the
Mhm.
mineral additions. Yeah, that's fine. Just want to stay out of the yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll add yeast nutrient, Whirlflock to help clear it out.
Mm-hmm. Typical ale ferment, right? What do we want? 65, 68, 70 around there?
I typically do mine at 68.
Yeah, once we're good and done, then cold crush it down. I don't know how cold you can get it down.
I can get it down as cold as we want.
Okay.
I'm like that. I can get it as cold as you need, baby.
The colder, the better.
Yeah.
So, get it down
but how long do you want to crash for?
Yeah, like the three days. I usually don't set a time for it because it's basically start the cold crash, and then when I can keg it, I can keg it.
Okay. Mash. What do we think for the mash profile?
Mouthfeel medium, light to medium, low to medium.
My concern with like a lower mash is the body's not going to be there.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I was thinking 152 or higher.
Literally was just going to say 152. Yeah. Just going to say that. Well, that's what I have. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, I got 152. Once I dough in, I do a 10-minute mash rest. I let it sit, and then I'll turn on the recirc for 3 minutes. Take a pH sample, cool it down for 5 minutes. I read the pH, and then if I have to, I make a water adjustment, whether it's more lactic in this case or it's baking soda. And then I'll repeat that process of letting it recirc for 3 minutes, pulling a sample, letting it sit for 5, and then I start my 60-minute timer.
And then you set your timer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm mashing and my pH is off, I usually don't.
You don't mess with it?
I don't mess with it. I just take it as a note for the next time I'm going to brew it. But I mean, this is kind of a first time recipe. If we want to try to nail it in, that's fine as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, just because it's a first time recipe.
Yeah.
You know, if we want to, if we see that here's my thing. If we're at, 5.37, I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're at 5.2, I'm going to want to make a change.
Okay. Okay. I'd be fine with 5 too. I mean, light beer like this, I mean, I'm good anywhere between 5.2, 5.4.
Okay.
That's kind of my rule of thumb. If it, like I said, we take a sample, we're at 5.6, then I'd be like, yeah, maybe we should drop the.
Okay.
Add another, milliliter of acid or something, but we could play it by ear.
Yeah, we can play that as it comes. That's reasonable. All right. So yeah, this is the recipe, man. I'm excited about it. Kurt's coming over next week. We're gonna be having a good time. I already told Kurt he's gonna get some good food. He's gonna get some good company. I am good company, regardless of what the Homebrew Club says. We'll have a good time, man.
We will, and I got some Bottle Boy surprises.
Oh yes, awesome. We may have to try to maybe at night. We'll try to coax Billy onto the Zoom to hang out with us. If you don't know what the Bottle Boys is, join Brewtubers Online Homebrew Club, and you'll be able to find out all about it. You may not be able to join the Bottle Boys, but you can definitely join Brewtubers. So
yeah, because that's true. Because I'm planning on sending the same to Billy this week, so he'll have it.
Oh, awesome. That'll be fun. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Thanks so much for joining the recipe video, dude. It was good to chat with you.
Yeah, no problem.